14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
And welcome into another edition of Hometown Threads, episode 13. Wow, 13. We've hit the teens with Hometown Threads. Of course, brought to you by Liberty Bank, be community kind. Big thanks to Liberty Bank with 3 locations in the area. Of course, Gateway Commons, West Main Street, and Willimantic. 3 wonderful managers, too. The manager at that Gateway Commons, West Main Street, and Willimantic Liberty Bank would be my wife, Marianne Gargoni. Another great manager across the street from the radio station, Liberty Bank, 679 Main Street, Angela Smart. And Carrie Small at the Liberty Bank up on Route 195 in Mansfield. Again, big thanks to our sponsor, Liberty Bank, be community kind. Hometown Threads comes your way every Tuesday, 5:05 to 5:30 on 14 WILI, 95.3 FM, and of course, Willimantic Today Facebook. They post that like Wednesday nights, and it runs all week, pinned at the top of the page. Thank you to RJ for that. Big thanks to my man, J-Mad Rupar, behind the board, producer extraordinaire, making sure we don't hit the console like that, which we won't do. Hometown Threads, if you're new to the show, is basically bringing our community members every Tuesday, our neighbors, to learn more about them, get their story, growing up in the area, learning about their business, how the business got started. And, well, Ted's familiar with the show, too. Let's bring in our special guest. And again, big thanks to our sponsor, Liberty Bank. Teddy Ballgame, Ted Lath from Ives Brothers, joins us on episode 13 of Hometown Threads. Welcome, Ted.
Thank you. Number 13. Unlucky number 13? I don't think so.
Do you like the name Teddy Ballgame?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry. When I hear the name Ted, I walked into the studio a few minutes ago like, Teddy Ballgame, but it's great to have...
It's better than Teddy Ruxpin, like they used to call me back in the day.
Or Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
What other Teds do we know? Yeah. Ted the movie. You ever see that?
Yep.
Oh,
Part 2, yeah.
Part 2?
Good stuff.
I didn't see the second one. Anyway, it's great to have Ted Lath in here. Longtime employee of Ives Brothers. We're going to get the whole backstory of how Ives Brothers over 100 years. I hear
105.
105. In fact, Ted voices the commercials for the most part, right? Still
Sometimes.
Sometimes you hear Ted's voice on the Ives Brothers commercial. But as we like to start out every episode of Hometown Threads, we get to know the person first and then get into the business and tell us about how the business started. But right now, tell us about Ted Lath growing up here in Willimantic, Connecticut.
Well, I was actually born like 2 blocks north of where my office is, 8 blocks away from here. So
how about that?
You could say in life I haven't gotten too far. Physically.
Ted's got jokes too.
Well, try to. Keep things light. Yeah, that's, this area is just full of a lot of history for me. Like both my parents worked driving cab for Ralph Watson. Used to have a taxi stand right here underneath the footbridge.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So both your parents both of them drove cabs, right?
Yeah, at one point, yep, back in the 70s. So yeah, this area's got a lot of history for me.
And you grew up going to which local schools?
Sweeney School,
Sweeney.
then Kramer, and then Wyndham High School.
Well, now, as long as I've known you, I'm assuming we're around. How old are you again?
52.
Okay, so we're only 2 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, we probably went to Kramer together.
Probably.
Oh my goodness! Look at that! Yeah, I went through.
Lucky me.
Do you remember any teachers from Kramer?
Oh yeah, lots. I know.
Let's name some. Good.
Well, Cindy Parker.
She's one of my favorite. No, with all due respect, all my Kramer teachers, Cindy Parker, we're Facebook friends.
Yes.
Great English teacher.
I'd love to apologize to her on the air because I was really a crappy student back then.
Well, when I tag you on Facebook, I can tag her, and you can go ahead and.
She was awesome. And she put up with me, and really, I probably should have been nicer to her.
Okay, well maybe we shouldn't tag her. Yeah, she's in fact, her mom was a neighbor of mine growing up as a kid on Adams Heights in Lebanon.
Yep.
So I kind of go back with the Parkers a little bit there. Okay, so name one other teacher, then we'll move on here.
Well, Victor Funderburk.
Mr. Funderburk, a former mayor here in
Yep.
Wyndham. How about Mr. Cal? You remember Wayne
Caliento.
Wayne Caliento, who actually just called me out of the blue.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I fill in at our sister station, WICH in Norwich, and he looked me up, and I got I think it was a random email from Mr. Cal. I was like, Mr. Cal. He's like, I'd love to stay in touch. I'm like, yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
So there are a lot of great teachers back in the day. Okay, so you went to Kramer.
Yep.
Where'd you go to high school?
Wyndham High.
Wyndham High?
Yep.
Okay. Tell us about Wyndham High. Did you, any activities?
I was in the music department.
That's right. I think you did a little theater too, right?
A little bit.
Little theater.
Mm-hmm.
You sing?
No.
Okay, I was going to put you on. Actually, one song I thought of as we're bringing Ted in from Ives Brothers, because, it's the winter season. I really wanted to put in a little Glenn Fry. The heat is on. You probably hear that all the time.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Does that go through your head when you're at a house and you're, fixing the heat?
Yeah, or hot-blooded.
Or hot-blooded.
Like foreigner, yeah.
You can tell I haven't done radio too long, right? Okay, so you went through Wyndham. Now you graduate Wyndham. What's Ted Lake doing as a Wyndham High graduate? What's going through your mind? What do you want?
Started working at Ives Brothers.
Right out of high school?
Right out of high school, yeah.
So, now, how did you land that job? Tell us how that all happened.
Land that job. I showed up.
You just,
they needed somebody to work, and here I was.
Did you know the Ives family, or you just happened to show up looking for work?
Actually, one of my Matt Butler, is my partner. Yeah. His brother had started working there before we did, and so that was the connection.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Dave Butler worked there before Matt did, and then they need somebody to unload a truck, and there I was.
Wow. So you're pretty much kind of almost like hired on the spot?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now let's talk a little about, you're just starting out at Ives Brothers, 18 years old? I grew up with the Ives family as well. I grew up with, I was thinking about this last night. Lewis, I think Jennifer's more my age. Is Jennifer the oldest again?
No, Marie's the oldest.
Oh, Marie.
Yeah.
Maybe I was Jennifer's age. I can't remember. Lewis.
That sounds right, because she was behind me in Wyndham High. She was like a freshman, I think, when I was a junior.
So I was Jennifer's age. Marie's the oldest, and Lewis is the youngest. Yep. Lewis Jr., right? They call him just Lewis.
The third.
Lewis the third?
Yes.
Where are they now? Do you stay in touch with any of the kids?
As far as I know, we'll call him Junior, is still in Florida.
Oh, okay.
And Jennifer's still around here.
All right.
And Marie, I believe, is in Ohio.
All right. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Now, what year, sadly, is Mrs. Ives still alive?
No, she passed. That's when I saw the three of them together last.
Oh, okay.
Just
how long ago
past
was
year.
that? Oh, this past year.
Yep.
Ooh, sorry, I totally missed that. So rest in peace, Mrs. Ives. The Ives family, legendary. And what year did Mr. Ives pass away?
2012.
Okay, 2012. What a family, what a business.
His brother George was like 2003.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow, 2003. Okay. Now, so you started at age 18. How'd you work your way up? Because you're running the place now, right? If I'm not mistaken?
Mm-hmm.
Ted is running Ives Brothers. So how you started out, how many employees were at that time, if you can remember, back in the day? How many, because Ives was, are they still in the same location?
Yep.
Which
For
is
105 years from the same address.
That's amazing.
1244 Main Street.
1244 Main Street, same location, 105 years. That same building?
No. It's we've actually gotten rid of the original building.
That's right.
It's not even there anymore.
I remember the original building as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go down with my father like Saturdays and pick up ice if we needed or something like that.
1998. That one got pulled down, and we moved to the mill building in like 94, something like that.
So 98, they tore down the old building. Tell us a little about that. How was that transition?
Actually, I got the dates wrong. That's 93 that they pulled down
93.
The front building. Yeah, it was moved there in like 1913 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, that predates us.
Well, yeah,
At least on the schedule.
So tell us a little about how that all came about. Was the building just falling apart? Like, what? I mean,
It's just it was, purpose built for its time, and that time is gone. So
Right.
It was time to make more parking.
wow. So obviously, Mr. Ives is still around. Was he? Wait, he was still with the business then, right?
Yep. Yeah, he retired in 2006.
Okay, retired in 06.
So Mr. Ives, we're talking about Lewis.
Lewis. That's just
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, growing up, so I used to call, hey, Mr. Ives.
Yeah.
So tell us about, was it a big transition, like, because you basically went a couple doors down, right? Right.
Actually, it's moving backwards on the same lot.
Oh, the same lot. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And was it you were obviously a big part of that move. Was it? How did that all? I mean, did it all everything transition okay with that, or was it a big deal, or? Okay.
Not really. I mean, people just driving by, they get used to seeing us, but they don't see us so much because we're in the back.
Right.
So finding the driveway is a little bit of a challenge.
That's right.
If you haven't been back there, but we still share a driveway with the old CLMP Eversource building there on Main Street.
And was it what was the kind of the upgrade with the newer building? Did you guys compare to like what you had in the older building? Just were there any major changes inside and stuff?
Not really, no.
Actually, a few offices.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really much of a difference.
Okay, so what's your exact title at Ives Brothers? Ted Lafe.
President.
President. Okay, President Ted Lafe. Here we are. Actually recording
President's Day.
I know, President's Day here at that time of year. And so when were you officially named president of Ives Brothers, Ted Lath? President.
2000.
Should I call you President Ted?
No.
2000.
2000.
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
23 years.
Were you were you up against anybody else, or you knew you were the next in line? Like, how did that all shape up?
I had gone off and done my own thing for like 4 years.
Yo,
And-
tell us about this. What? You
Yeah, like 96, I went off and did A+ Oil on my own, and I was asked to come back.
So you left Ives Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know.
After like a decade. And
Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously you didn't burn any bridges because they wanted you to come back.
Yep.
And you just wanted to go out and what was the name of the place again?
Steer my own ship, you know. It's A+ Oil it was.
So you were running that place too.
Yep.
And they probably missed you so much, and they probably saw your how well you were doing, and they just made you an offer to come back, and they made you president.
Yep.
Wow.
In a nutshell, that's it.
That's really
That's the
cool.
whole story there.
So, you take how many employees currently right now with Ives Brothers?
This time of year, about a dozen.
Okay.
Even dozen, yeah.
Good. Now, what's the? I'm probably gonna answer. I think I know the answer to this question. Busiest time of year is winter. I would assume.
It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be, but they get busy during the summer with air conditioning and stuff. Because you guys do not only heating, you do air conditioning as well.
Yep, ductless mini splits. We specialize in that as well.
Okay. Quick, I got a little story, and you know this. A few years ago, Ted bailed us out, my wife and I, on a weekend. I think it was like a Saturday, and you came to the rescue. You probably remember the story better than I can. It wasn't our pipes froze, right? Is that what it was?
Nope.
What
no,
was
I
it?
don't think it was a pipe froze.
Oh, no, I would have. We had just moved into the house. It was like our second year in the house, I believe, maybe our first year, and we ran out of oil. That's what it was.
Okay, yeah.
We ran out of oil, and again, we were new homeowners, my wife and I, and it was a Saturday. I think around 5:00. You're long gone from work at that point, I would think. Or maybe it was in Saturday evening, and we happened to have Ted on emergency speed dial, and you were so nice enough to come right out there and. On a weekend where you're probably home kicking back, relaxing on a Saturday night, and Ted bailed us out. So we're very grateful for that. Am I allowed to talk about that story?
Sure.
Right,
Sure.
it's too late now.
Cat's out of the bag.
But I'm sure you guys do, you've probably done emergency services like that, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you got any crazy stories? Like, well, you don't have to name people, but how often does it happen, like, especially in the wintertime, where pipes freeze or someone runs out of oil like me?
A lot less than it used to, believe it or not. People are actually, you would think that they're becoming more absent-minded, but not so much, actually. I think we get less people running out now than we used to, like 10 years ago even.
Wow.
Gauges may be better. You can have Wi-Fi gauges installed that'll actually tell you, hey, call the oil guy.
How about that?
Yeah.
I want to ask you. I want to get into that in just a second too. There's a lot more to get to. We're here with President of Ives Brothers, Ted Lath, on the 13th episode of Hometown Threads. 14 WI line, 95.3 FM, and Willimantic Today Facebook. Again, thanks to Liberty Bank. Be community kind. So let's talk about the Wi-Fi gauges that Ives installs, among other things these days that the average customer like me may not even know. Tell us more about not only the Wi-Fi gauges, but other stuff into this here in 2023 that we may not know about.
2012, they mandated controls have some type of reset built into them, so they're not just coming on every time the thermostat calls for heat. If there's heat left in the boiler, it can actually satisfy a call for heat without firing the burner. It delays the firing of the burner. That's the reset of that occurrence, and that saves a lot of money. It's up to 30% having these new controls on there.
Wow.
It became a thing in 2012, really. So it's been 11
So it's
years.
been around for a while.
Yep.
What is now? Are you as president? How often are you on the road?
Oh, daily. I'm in and out and doing.
Why probably explains why he's got a service coat on here.
Yeah, yeah. You never know what I'm going to be doing next.
So you're getting called, and you have about how many people? Well, let's see. You mentioned Matt. Matt's on the road too. He's like your right hand man.
He is occasionally. He goes out and delivers oil, and grabs parts, runs them out to the technicians out in the field, that sort of thing.
All right.
Yeah, wherever, whenever.
Well, go ahead. I want you to shout out to some of the other people in the office that go right down the line. If you want to, name some people in the office that do their best working for you and the company every day.
Well, it's definitely a family business. You have Matt's wife, Sue, her best friend, Deb, and Sue's daughter, Caitlin. So whenever you have a problem and you call, you're talking to family and friends.
Oh, good deal, good deal. Now, do the kids ever stay in touch? Or they ever, check in, see how the business is doing? Or I know you mentioned Lewis the third or juniors down in Florida.
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, we don't hear too much.
Not too much. Yeah.
No, not too much.
So, what is the probably the main problem or the most what's the problem that occurs the most in the wintertime?
I would say 80% of like the emergency service calls are 20% of the customers that just don't do regular maintenance.
So you see
That's
that a lot.
always been that way.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed there. If the people that take care of stuff usually won't have an occurrence, but those people that just won't fix it until it breaks, that brings out about a good 20% of those people make 80% of the problems for themselves.
What is it? If you got a story, please do share it with us. How about the craziest or most like a very odd story you came across of a call you received? Again, you're not mentioning any names, but a call, besides mine on a Saturday night. Hey, we ran out of oil. Or just there must be some stories you could share with us that happened over the years. You've been there for so many years.
I could share like one that occurs around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. People inviting your family over to the house, for that 1 or 2 times a year. All of a sudden they got no heat. Well, what do? Check the stair switch. You have an emergency switch top of the stairs. That's one that occurs, every year. Somebody will call, and they're like starting to, be cold in the house, and they're not sure why, and they forget that switch is there. And somebody was going to look for a light switch, and they, inadvertently flip off the switch. The other thing is don't put the Christmas tree by the thermostat. That's another one that.
Oh, these are good.
Yeah.
Speaking of tips, you got any more tips like that? The Christmas tree one, you must have a ton of them you could list. As far as tips that people don't think about, like the Christmas tree.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Christmas trees, they used to put off a lot more heat than they do now with LED lighting. But, you'd get that call, I have no heat, and it's like everything's in fine working order except for the thermostat thinks it's 80 degrees because it's behind the Christmas tree.
Wow.
So,
See, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, it happens. And, of course, nobody wants to be made to feel like they're not the smartest person in the room. But it's an unfortunate event, really, that, and that's why, when you typically call, we'll go through like 6 things. Did you check the oil tank?
Right.
Did you check a breaker? Did you make sure that stair switch wasn't inadvertently shut off? I did have one lady that we went down the basement, and, the valves is shut off going to the oil burner. And I mentioned that to her, and she immediately turns to the cat. I told you to stay away from that. Like the cat didn't sit there and turn this valve, and I'm sitting there trying not to laugh in front of the customer.
That's gotta be. That
was hilarious.
Oh my god!
She totally blamed the cat.
Matt, should he be a little closer? Is he all right?
He's fine.
Okay.
He's fine.
So, guys, see, some of these stories just come back to you. Think, and it just I don't know. I wouldn't be able to hold it together. I'd just keep a straight face.
Sometimes.
So, how about this? Here's a question. The past few years here in New England, the winters have been, well, look at it. It's like today. It's like 50 degrees,
Yep.
almost 60 degrees. The other day, I turned the heat off. I actually had the windows open in the house. It was like Thursday.
Yep, you and me both.
So what happens? Is it kind of, I don't want to say affect business, but do you have any problems you guys might come across with these mild winters that we've been experiencing?
Oh, absolutely. And the winter that never was usually has a twin. Usually you end up back-to-back. We didn't have a great winter last year. But if you're around long enough, you notice the patterns. And you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to have, record-beating, breaking Januaries like we had, where it was just not freezing. But it's happened before. We didn't call it global warming. It was just the weather.
Also,
We didn't know any better.
but there was that 2-day, earlier this month, we had those 2 days where it was frigid. I mean, icy cold. And
Yep.
the next thing you know, it's 50. So how about over that 2-day period, that was the plunge weekend, because I remember the next day moved the plunge back a day. So how about that weekend where you had those 2 days, what was it, a Friday and Saturday, where it was just ridiculously cold. Did you get any calls over those 2 days?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was busy over those 2 days. Yeah, and
Ted, my heat's not working. You need 10 below.
yeah, and Christmas Eve was like that too. Really, that was like
Christmas Eve?
the other cold day of the year this year.
Did you have to make any, you or your team have to make any personal house calls Christmas Eve?
We actually did have some frozen pipes on Christmas Eve.
Wow, do they invite you in for milk and cookies after? Or?
Usually. No, I'm kidding.
Milk and beer. Or no, cookies and beer.
Yeah.
So, okay, with our remaining minutes wow, it's amazing how fast 25 minutes goes. We're at the 20-minute mark of this 13th episode of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and Willamette Today Facebook. Of course, brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. Here we are approaching the end of February, getting ready to turn the calendar into March. And I just want to say this, and I think I said this on our sister station the other day. It's my theory that when it comes to wintertime in this area, when the calendar hits March 1st, let it snow. I don't care. Let it snow. Because when it snows as of March 1st, I don't take it seriously. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's spring snow. It melts just like that in March. So I think we're pretty much out of the woods, I would say, as we approach the end of February with as far as the snow goes. How do you guys... How do you guys already start thinking about like summertime? And also, why don't you talk a little about what the services you provide in summertime with air conditioning? It's not just, I think Ives Brothers think, heating, but you guys do air conditioning maintenance as well, right?
Yeah, mostly the ductless mini splits. Mitsubishi, people are familiar with the brand. I have a few jobs coming up that I've already, just waiting for the weather to break, really. I got it on my calendar, look them up after March, 1st or something like that to get out there and get those done, which is amazing because usually I don't even want to hear about, air conditioning, in February.
Right. But you have to start preparing a little for spring and summer, right?
Absolutely.
So, well, there you go. I mean, see, spring is like the bridge between winter and summer, I guess. Winter and summer are probably your two busiest months as far as servicing, I would think. Again, I don't work, in this business, so I'm not. But what kind of things do you do in spring? Not really. Probably just getting ready for summer, I would think, right?
Spring cleaning, actually, maintenance. If you use, a boiler to heat hot water, I mean, that's a great time to do it. Doing even furnaces or water boilers. Do you really want to shut that off or stop using it with all that combustion residue in there? And
so these are great spring tips then.
Yeah, spring cleaning. People can remember that. Don't wait till October.
Same thing with the fall, getting ready for winter, right? So spring and fall, you kind of have similar tips.
We do get a rush in October, so it's like trying to get things done ahead of schedule. When we have people available. I've always thought spring cleaning, it kind of sticks.
I like that. Now, Ives Brothers in business for 105 years. When's the anniversary, by the way? At least. You should know this. You're the president. What's the anniversary? When do you go 106?
Usually we switch over in April 1st.
Okay, April. So that's the 106th anniversary?
Yep.
Did you have a big celebration for 100? You must.
No, we didn't.
What? Come on.
No, actually, I was out at Beckett. They make 80% of the residential burners. And Kevin Beckett asked me if I was going to have a big, shindig for the 100th anniversary. And I was like, people talk about history, but really it's, I enjoy history and studying it and passing it along, but you can't drive forward if you're always looking in the rearview mirror.
Ooh.
It's what about I've done for you lately.
Comes with quotes, too. Look at you.
I tried to.
That was very presidential. A quote. We fire up some presidential music here. All right, so we have a couple minutes left, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes before we wrap it up in episode 13 with Ted Lath. Is there anything you want to mention? How people can contact you in the middle of the night? I'm kidding. How people can contact you in an emergency, website. What's the best way to contact you? Throw out the phone number, all that good stuff. Facebook?
Definitely 860-423-6381 or ivesbrosoil.com. You can call, click, whatever you need to do to get a hold of us. I would like to put in like a shout out to like Operation Fuel. They help a lot of people out. This year they were able to substantially help a lot more people and help those people more with the generous donations that they get from people. So certainly I'd like to acknowledge them for everything they do.
All right. And
OperationFuel.org.
And how about one influential person that is really you'd like to thank that has carried you through this journey, a long journey at Ives Brothers?
Oh, Lou and George Ives, the Ives brothers themselves. I mean, business doesn't, get to be third generation or fourth generation on its own. It takes a lot of work, and typically family-run businesses, they kind of blow it in the second generation. And
not with you, my friend.
They didn't.
Not with you.
Well, the second generation would have been their grandfathers, to their father. And he brought along very well liked, very much pillars of the community,
Yeah, definitely. A legendary family.
My hat's off to them for sure.
All right. Well, President of Ives Brothers, Ted Lath, loyalty at its best right here. Great to have you on. Proud to call you a friend as well. Ted Lath from Ives Brothers, the president. You know how to get a hold of him, ivesbros.com.
IvesBrosOil.com.
IvesBrosOil.com. You can hear him on the commercials once in a while here on WILI. Big thanks to President of Ives Brothers, Ted Lath, for joining us.
I haven't heard that many times.
I know. I see. You got to hit sticks after a while.
I'm just that guy.
All right, so again, thank you to our sponsor, Liberty Bank. Be community kind, with 3 great locations in the area: West Main Street, Gateway Commons here in Willimantic, downtown Willimantic, 679 Main Street, and Route 195 in Mansfield. Big thanks to Liberty Bank. Hometown Threads, here every Tuesday, 14 WILI, 95.3 FM, and on Willimantic Today Facebook. Thank you to J. Matt Rupar and RJ from Willimantic Today. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Thank you to Ted, and we'll see you next week.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice, or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.